There is something you could do for me, Doctor.
Anything. I mean, yeah.
I need a machine gun.
A machine gun?
Talk about a workplace romance gone wrong.
Rocksteady has officially delayed
You get the gist, right? Yes, it is now officially been delayed, even though we had that rumor, like, what was it, like a month ago after the PlayStation showcase? You know, you got journalist Jason Schreier coming out stating it was going to be delayed, and then Jeff Grubb actually said delayed into 2024, and he was correct. What's up, guys? I'm Salty Sleggy. Thanks for tuning in today. So let's just run over it really quick. I know a lot of people have probably already seen it. Rocksteady came out and said it will officially now launch on the 2nd of February 2024. We have made the tough but necessary decision to take the time needed to work on getting the game to be the best quality experience for players. So thank you to our amazing community for continued support, patience and understanding. There is much more to share in the months ahead, and we look forward to seeing you in Metropolis next year. Typical generic response from most studios that we see. Got no problem with it. You should have said it sooner, to be honest. So I watch a lot of YouTube, okay, and I watch a lot of content creators, especially when it comes to the game that I'm covering. So I see a lot of different opinions, and I listen to all sides. And whether it's, you know, you think that the company's woke and SJW this and all that crap, which I already know is going on in the industry. It's in the movie industry and it's seeping into the gaming industry. Fully aware of this, bro. But listen, it ain't gonna change yet. It's not gonna change for a long time. Probably 5 to 10 years from now. A lot of companies are already feeling it in their wallets. Then I hear other comments like, oh, well, they were gonna release this in May and they would have released a not finished game. Yeah, that's always the case. Every game nowadays is not finished. They believe that by just shoving it in, putting a day one patch in, you know, it's going to fix the game. Or we're at that moment in technology now where they don't need to fix the game. It just needs to be in a playable state to the point where they can just keep patching it until it's finally finished. But I also don't believe that's the developer's fault. I believe that's the publishers pushing them to get the product out because they want sales. Unlike back in the old days, you know, you got your product, it was finished, there was no going back, they just released it. And then obviously the community circulating, well, it was because of the massive backlash from the February showcase. Listen, did it contribute? Maybe. Is it the reason? Probably not. So I listen to a lot of criticisms, you know, from different creators and whatnot, and I understand all the criticisms that people say. At the end of the day, the company is not targeting you majority of the time. The company is actually targeting the normie people that go into a shop and go, oh, there's a Suicide game out, I'm gonna go buy that. They don't give a shit about how many frames per second it is. They don't care what characters are in it. If they know those characters from the movie, they're like, oh, it's got Harley Quinn in it, oh, it's got this in it. You know, they don't care as much as we do. And the average consumer is the one that actually sells the product for them. So regardless of how many times they kick the can down the road, the majority of your criticisms will go unnoticed. The only way to actually make an impact is with your wallet, like a lot of people say. Vote with your wallet. If you don't want the product, don't buy the product. Therefore, when they see that their sales are not doing too good, they might actually think about that, because they've got to tell the higher up why it didn't perform so well. And before I get on to how things, you know, what can be done within this 9-month delay period, when people say, Rocksteady, why did you make this game? Rocksteady are a studio that is owned by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers tell them what to make. So at the time when the Arkham series came out, they made Arkham Asylum. They saw it was a big hit, and probably the person in charge went, make another one. So they made another one. And then because of the passion of the actual developers that are not at the studio anymore, loved the property and wanted to improve upon that property, the next edition was the Batmobile, which was a pinnacle point for us Batman fans. Myself, I loved the fact the trailer, they were like showing the Batmobile, and I was like, oh shit, we're gonna drive the Batmobile next. That's great. So the developers do listen to fans. And then lastly, they were like, right, make a third one. And in between that, you got Arkham Origins, because they needed more time for Night. Fair enough, but please, people understand that Rocksteady are not just this independent studio that they get to do whatever they want. Maybe they could do in the past with regards to the Arkham series, but obviously not now. And not every company treats their studios like this. Other companies, you know, like such as Sony with Insomniac Spider-Man, they probably give them a lot of freedom of control over their projects and stuff. Same with God of War. They just let them make it. They have the faith in that company to make a decent game, and they're happy with the pitch, etc. But clearly Warner Brothers are not like that. Well, not now anyway. So companies do mandate their studios on what kind of projects they would like them to make. And you've got to remember, at the end of the day, this is not just about entertainment. This is also a business that they are running. And for those people that say, cancel the game, just scrap it, make something else, people are not going to waste millions of dollars in order to just scrap a project. Maybe Batgirl, but that's a different story. That's a tax write-off. So the studio's going to recoup that money back anyway. So let's quickly just touch on what Jason Schreier said. To be clear, polish can mean a lot of things, from performance to optimization to balance tweaks to bug fixes to server stability. Folks are surprised the dev would take an extra 9 months to polish a game, but that's actually normal these days. 9 years between games, kind of less normal. And again, I need to emphasize that 9 months is not enough time to completely change the nature of the game. 2, the team was told that the delay was for polish and not related to the February gameplay showcase. Lots of other factors can affect releasing times, like the console makers. So in order to actually optimize it for consoles, which is where we get into this 30 FPS, 60 FPS debate where I spoke about previously, where you need it to be online in order to get at least 60 frames per second, because the consoles can't, their hardware isn't good enough to deal with that kind of, you know, fluidity and fast movements and AI behaviors, generating the world, generating those 4 instances for each player, etc. This is just like one method that can help the developer so they can get the best performance for you when you're playing the game. And that's why I gave the previous example of Division, where they put AI, the world, etc. on server side, so all that was not putting stress on the console and giving you a better performance of 60 FPS. So what can they actually do in regards to some of the concerns by the community? Like, they say they want an offline mode. Possibly they could do an offline and a multiplayer mode for maybe able to separate it. I think being more melee based could potentially kind of appease players. But bear in mind, we haven't even seen the abilities yet. Like, how deep does this ability tree even go? Or is it not even deep at all? These are key things that, for myself, I'd like to know. Hopefully we're going to see that further down the line as we lead up to release. And then it also is dependent on the kind of framework that they've made. If it is super deep and a core element in the code, you can't scrap it. A lot of things are dependent on how the code has been set up in order to create the game. If it is woven at the start, if it's woven at the middle, wherever. My suggestion was to make the guns less relevant and the melee more relevant, where the loot would be melee only and the guns would just be secondary, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to be the case, because it is woven in and has been marketed as a fully blown shooter. But if we can see more emphasis on the melee side, maybe that can appease fans enough that they can overlook the kind of shooting grinding. To me, it doesn't really bother me whatsoever. I want to see these abilities, to be honest. And even if that was possible and they could switch it to melee, then you're grinding for legendary bats, legendary scythes, legendary whatever. People would just turn around and go, well, I don't want to grind for this. So I always feel like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. At the end of the day, you're not going to appease everybody. There are different genres of games out there. If this isn't the type of game for you, you can always go and look for something else. I know you want a single player kind of game, but there are plenty of single players on the way, and you've got Wonder Woman coming in the DC. I think looter shooter fans will have a field day with this game, as I will as well. But unfortunately, for those single player lovers of the Arkham series and the Arkham style, that is kind of, you're gonna have to wait for something to come. Or maybe you'll have to swallow your pride and accept the fact that you might never ever see anything like that again in regards to that. And the only thing that's on the horizon currently is Wonder Woman. And I can understand maybe you're gonna have to wait another 6-7 years for something to happen, but within that 6-7 years, you're gonna see loads of other titles that you can at least sink your teeth into for variety, unless you're just like completely focused on DC games only, which I'm not like that. I like variety in my life, so I go to different genres, even different IPs. I'll go into Marvel as well as DC. I enjoy both sides. So for me, it's not really going to be an issue to find another title if I don't like. And there are titles out there that I see, and I am just like, I am not going to touch that. It is not the game for me. And I'm going to say an unpopular opinion right now. And that unpopular opinion, regardless of how many sales Hogwarts Legacy has done, I did not enjoy it whatsoever. And I realized that. I paid for it and I enjoyed the movies, but when I played the game, I was bored. It just felt like checklist simulator to me, and it's just not for me. and I understand that, and I've come to terms with it. But for those Harry Potter fans out there, they love it, and that is great for them. So I'm happy to say, you know, that's great for them. And people, I understand, yeah, you're pissed off, and this is not what you were expecting, and unfortunately, you know, you're just gonna have to wait a little longer for maybe something that comes your way. Like, it is in depth a shooter, and it is a multiplayer game. And then another thing regarding multiplayer games and just games in general for certain companies, they're always going to diverge into different genres in order to fund other projects. So the fact that this is a multiplayer, and if you look at this, that's just come off the back of Hogwarts. People wanted Quidditch in Hogwarts, and the developer said that they couldn't actually implement it. So what's happened? I want to give a big shout out to VG Fight School. Without seeing his video, I wouldn't have known about this, but this is a studio, I've never even heard of them, called Unbroken Studios, and they're announcing a Quidditch Championship, another multiplayer game. And this studio actually has worked on, or is working as well with Rocksteady on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Their top secret games is Quidditch and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, both multiplayer titles. So Warner Brothers saw the success, obviously, of Hogwarts Legacy. Not only that, but Potter fans are going to get a TV series in regards to the books. So Warner Brothers are going to town in the Potter industry. And do you want to know why? Because it makes money. So in regards to a business sense, regardless of if Suicide Squad does bad, they still have other projects that can fund other projects. So you've got like multiplayer titles that are funding single player titles, and that's kind of how, you know, the money keeps flowing. So the company is using other avenues in order to fund other projects, is what I'm saying. So even if Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League takes a hit, they're able to withstand that hit because of the other IPs that are supporting the company. And bear in mind, I'm just talking about this business. I'm not talking about other businesses. They have different practices and the way they do their business, and that's, you know, that's fully on them. But other than that, that's really all I've got to say in regards to this delay. It doesn't really affect me. It just means I didn't book any time off, which I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm curious to when we're actually going to see it again. I'd like to see some more, but I'm still purchasing it. I'm still going to enjoy it, and I will play with people in the community if they want to play along with me. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's a long one, another one. I had a lot to say today. I've been putting it off for quite a while. I'm still not 100% wise in the health department, but we're getting through it. Thanks for watching as always. I appreciate anybody that comes to my channel and watches my videos. Always a pleasure. Be sure to smash a like if you enjoyed the video. It really helps out the channel as we continue to go towards that 1,000 subscriber milestone. If you didn't like it, I'm sorry to disappoint. Subscribe for more upcoming games. You'll find other games on my channel if you want to check those out. You'll find social links down below if you want to support me in that space, including the Discord. Come and join the Discord. Hit that notification bell. And as always, have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.